Motorhead Garage is back with a fantastic line of new products, from RV automation upgrades to locking fasteners and more. Next on Motorhead Garage.
Well, welcome to Motorhead Garage, presented by Dustless Blasting. Well, the legend Sam and Dave passed the torch to myself, John Gardner, and my co-host, Brian Lowens. But no worries, it's still the same Motorhead Garage that you come to know and love. And in Motorhead Garage fashion, we're going to dive right in. I see a bearing and a spindle here. We're going to talk about some problems with that, but we have with us Robert from Stage 8 Locking Fasteners. Now, Robert, I know all about this stuff here, especially the header bolts. Before we talk about the bearing, let's dive into the header bolts and look at that. I've used them, and I know they work.
Well, sure, John. Actually, we came out with these header bolts over 30 years ago now. We brought them to the market, and they're going strong to this day. Simply, we put a groove in the top of the bolt here. The bolt goes in, gets torqued to spec. A locking retainer goes over the head of the bolt, just kind of like a box end wrench, right up against the tube of the header. And then you simply throw an E-clip in to hold it in place. It cannot loosen because it's an active mechanical lock. Now, one of the things that we did, just like a box end wrench, the hole here is punched at 3.5 degrees offset, so you get a different position. So make sure you turn it over if it doesn't fit up right close to the header. And secondarily, this is what we call a double hex head. You can use a 3/16 ball Allen to spin in those hard to reach ones, and then of course just torque it from the outside.
You're not going to get a wrench in that.
No, no, you're not. So we took that same concept, we moved it over to what we call the X-Lock. A fellow by the name of Tom Scahill used to run trophy trucks, and he had to stop every 250 to 300 miles to check his front spindle nut, or he'd lose bearings and he'd lose the whole spindle.
That's right.
So we put this together for him. It's a 4-piece system. It includes the thrust washer, the notched washer we call it, actually goes over the keyway on the spindle here. We have one nut. It would use the same tooling that the original nut uses. We just have twice as many grooves in it, so you don't have to go out and buy a new socket.
Right.
And again, only one nut. So the secret here is you put this nut on, and the amazing thing is we'll lock this in any position. So let's say that's your bearing preload right there. We'll lock it in that exact spot. There's none of this moving it back or forth to clock it so you can get a cotter P in it or anything like that.
Wow, so you're still going to use the tool, you're still going to set the bearing preload. If you got a torque wrench or whatever your specification is, just put it down there, and that's nice. Okay, great.
All right, this is what we call the locking retainer, or spider lock. This is 4130 chrome moly and through hardened. Now, the magic is prime numbers. Remember that from high school? It's a long time ago for me,
Yeah.
but that's what makes this magic work.
Way over my head, but let's go.
We have a prime number of notches in the notched washer, a prime number of tabs on the locking retainer with an even number on the inside. Now, what that means is when I put the locking retainer over and it's not engaging,
okay,
you'll watch, if I just rotate it, they walk a little bit every time.
There, they're getting further and further to the actual hole. Okay.
Well, it'll come all the way around.
Wow.
Slides right down in,
okay,
and then you use a snap ring to go ahead and put it over that groove and just hold that down.
Now, we never move that nut whatsoever.
Never move that nut at all. So
yeah,
once you get that preload, we'll lock it exactly there.
Yeah, think about that for a minute. I mean, a lot of people, we set that preload. Once we set that preload, you know those bearings are going to be in perfect condition. Mm-hmm. Then what we usually have to do is either back it up or half or whatever to find either a locking or cotter pin or something like that. With all those positions, your preload is going to be perfect every time.
Yes, yes, we can actually lock it in all 360 degrees. Now, because you're going to have to use snap ring pliers and a snap ring, we were thinking ahead. On the locking retainer here, we actually put a couple of holes in so that you can actually, oh, let's take it off and I'll show you. You can use your snap ring pliers here so that you can fit this down inside the hub, because it's hard to get your hands in there.
To position it.
Yes, and this is a great way to position it.
Incredible.
So we've got a lot of other things. We lock all, if you can get a wrench on it and it's a threaded joint, we can lock it.
Wow, I see the benefits. I know the cost of these spindles and bearings, axle preload, lateral run out, all that stuff on there. You got it solved, no problem. This is an awesome product. Where can we find it at?
Well, you can find it online, www.stage8.com. You can find it at your local dealers, just about anywhere.
Wow, all right, well, stay tuned. We got more Motorhead Garage coming up right after this.
This edition of Motorhead Garage, presented by Dustless Blasting, is being brought to you by Custom Auto Sound, the originator of classic car OEM fit radios since 1977. Brothers Trucks, your #1 source for 1947 to 87 Chevy and GMC truck restoration. Stage 8, the world's best locking fastener. And by Dustless Blasting, it's the future of surface preparation.
Welcome back to Motorhead Garage, presented by Dustless Blasting. It's summertime, and that means there's millions of people cruising around the highways and byways in their RVs. And if you spend any time in an RV, you know there are some special concerns you have to take care of. John's inside right now with one of the most innovative solutions to take care of the sanitary side of RV living.
Well, I'm here with Don from Garnett Technologies, who come up with a system that's going to make the RV world much simpler and make the process a lot easier. Yes. Don, this is all really cool stuff, but what's it all here? What's it all do?
We developed a measurement system in 1999 that has proven to be extremely reliable, and it also is very accurate. Without that kind of measurement, the rest of this automation really wouldn't work well. So that was the first requirement. We had to have a reliable measurement platform in order to start to think about automating the rest of the process. And so now we have done that. After a lot of engineering and code time, we have finally got a completely automated dumping and flushing and chemical injection system.
I'm sure a lot of people are happy to hear that. Hey, tell us a little bit about these components. They're sophisticated, but simple to install, and talking to you earlier, pretty bulletproof.
Yes. These are stick-ons, so you would apply it just like you would a decal, and it's a peel and stick, really. And you can take a scissors and shorten it to fit the tank if the tank is slightly less in height than the sender is. And one conductor does all the measurements of levels. It also provides temperature inside and out, and of course controls all these dumping processes. So the key part to control it is the actual controller that we see on the. It's called the C-Level 3.
Right, and I looked at this earlier. The whole central process unit's all built in right here, plug and play, great. And then these are the actual...
And that's the other part of the requirement, is a good reliable valve that actually we can tell whether it's open or closed or jammed.
Yeah, and that's pretty
really
cool.
important that we got that. So that's a drain master valve.
Yep.
Then the next thing is proving that you've actually offered water to the system. So if we're flushing, that pressure sensor will tell us whether or not you've got pressure to flush. Then the solenoid will administer the water and fill it to whatever the controller tells you it wants to do.
So this is the fail-safe built in. You were telling me you have actually stainless steel in here, kind of like a window motor, bi-directional motor moving, release right here.
Right.
Got your solenoid. If there's no pressure, it's not going to work.
Right.
And then we come over to the actual tank itself.
This is the actual injection tank. So we actually are going to inject to the gray and the black a prescribed time, because we want to adhere to the mixture recommended by the manufacturer of the chemical. So in this case, it's about 4 ounces to the black tank and 2 ounces to the gray.
And you told me you're working on some really new technologies.
Yes, the next step will be an app on your phone so that you can look at your tank levels whenever or wherever you are.
That's incredible. You can Bluetooth right to it. This is all cool stuff, but let's take a look at it in action. Brian's out at the RV right now.
John showed us all the components inside of the C-Level 3 auto evac system, but we can see it actually integrated into this RV right here. Depending on your different RV model, it may look a little different, but all the basic components are as you would expect to see them. Don, why don't you come over here and tell me a little bit about what I'm looking at right here and kind of how it all lays out in this unit.
This is really the first totally automatic waste system ever, and the reason is, up till now, we never had really a good, reliable valve, electric valve that would last for indefinite periods of time. And secondly was the amount of engineering requirement. For example, the code writing in this one is over 15,000 lines of code.
Holy cow. If you can walk me through some of the components that we're looking at here, kind of take me through the system.
We're measuring the fresh tank levels. We know exactly plus or minus 4/100 of an inch what's in every tank. So we're looking at the black and the gray and the fresh, and so that then we can actually control the drain cycle. So we always drain the black first, close the valve, and then we fill the black tank to a certain level. Then we drain it, then we drain the gray, and then we inject the chemicals in for both the gray and the black. and then add a bit of water to the black tank to help it get started. And then it says cycle finished, and you can basically undo your hoses. If you forget to, say, hook up the flush hose or turn the tap on any function you want to do, it'll tell you no hose pressure. So it'll abort if it can't do what it's supposed to be doing.
Yeah, I think the biggest beauty of this system is the fact that it is completely automated. I think anybody that's spent any time in a motorhome has made some sort of a mistake when the dumping process begins. Maybe your wife or your kids distract you and there's an issue, but here with the C-Level 3 auto evac system, that distraction is eliminated because once you start, it's automated and there's no way you're going to have a problem. Pretty amazing stuff, Don, and I think you've made people's lives in the RVing world very much more easy and very much more predictable here.
Yes, that was our whole purpose, was to get rid of one of the most distasteful functions of owning an RV.
We'll be back with more Motorhead Garage presented by Dustless Blasting after this.
Motorhead Garage, presented by Dustless Blasting, coming to you from Borla Commerce Park.
Welcome back to Motorhead Garage, presented by Dustless Blasting. Whether you're looking under the hood of a classic car like the T-Bird or the modern car you may have driven around today, you're going to see all different types of hoses and clamps. We're joined here today by Senora, who is from the ClampTite company. Senora, tell me about how ClampTite came to be.
This was actually one of my dad's patents. He had 34 on file, and this was the last one he had. What it is, it's a tool that tightens wire to the point that you can actually make the best hose clamp you've ever had. You can use it as a reducer or as a banding tool, but you can also use it as the best hose clamp. So you kind of see the history of hose clamps here. These are old-time ways of clamping, and they just didn't work well. They come in sizes. Even the ones that we use now, they create a flat spot when you tighten it down really tight, but with the clamp tool that you make with a wire, what it does is it tightens the wire so that it gives you a true 360-degree seal. It's low profile and clean. It doesn't get caught up on every little thing.
Yeah, it's a really interesting look, and I think what's most impressive is how adaptive and how versatile the solution is. I mean, we have everything from this very tiny, really small diameter stuff you may find on a small engine. Of course, we have pressurized applications here too. Thermostat housing, where we have multiple different types of lines being clamped down here. And kind of as like hot rod or drag racer guy, I look at stuff like this, and this is show car quality. And I understand you've been having some show car success lately.
We've had several people that are using the tool, making the clamps, and it just cleans up the engine. It looks hot, and that's what they're doing. They're actually being placed as first place in different show cars.
And basically any type of hose you can think of. This silicone hose is very hard to clamp, and you can look here and see just what kind of grip that the ClampTite system has. I want you to show me the ClampTite system and actually give me a demonstration about how it works, if you could.
Okay, go ahead and give me a piece of that wire over there. All you're going to do is take your wire and you're going to fold it in half. You're going to cut the wire to length, and on the instructions in your brochure, it'll tell you exactly how to do that. So what you're going to do is fold it in half, separate the wires, and you're going to come right back through the middle. See how I came through the loop?
Twice in the same direction.
Exactly. Good job. Now what we're going to do, all we've done is connect the wire to the project. Now we're going to connect the tool. So you bring the wire over the pins on each side, and then twist them together here. This is the only place you're going to twist wire. So the outside part of the wire, we're going to hold that in that loop that we started out with. Do you see that?
I did, and then I see you got your notch there. You got your wire in the notch.
Okay. The insides of our wire are connected to our pins.
Okay.
But that really helps people understand why this system works so well, is because you're pushing on the outside, now you're pulling on the inside of the wires.
And this is nice high quality stainless steel wire too.
It is. This is a 304, but you can also use a 316 wire, and it comes in different sizes.
And just it's as simple as turning your nut up here.
Exactly.
Yeah, and you're drawing that tight. And I can actually see it. You can actually see it really now starting to grab hold of the hose.
Yep. So when you get as tight as you want to and you're ready to lock it off, and you make sure everything's nice and sealed, that's especially important if you're using a barb fitting or a rib fitting, because you want to put those wires into the valley. We're ready to lock it off. If you have the room, you pivot the tool over itself, and that locks it. If you don't have that room, so many times you're up against a firewall and you have limited space, you're going to keep the tool straight up and down. Just do a little bit of a pivot. Even a 90-degree angle off center is going to lock. I like to cut the wires, take them long, kind of get them out of the way. And now I'm going to come back and cut these just short of a 1/4 inch. And then you push your ends toward your middle.
Well, Senora, you are clearly the ninja of the ClampTite system, but guess what? I want to give it a shot now. So you can give me some guidance while we do that. And while I work on that, why don't you guys check this out?
Now, we balance tires all the time with a road force tire balancer. Some issues we run into are bigger trucks like this one here. We could run into some ATVs or motorcycle tires or even semi-tires. They're very hard to balance. Well, we have the answer for you. We have tire beads by Checkered flag, and they're really simple. All you have to do is just take the tire off, put them inside, mount it back up, and you're good to go. Think about it. Sometimes those weights on those tires are ugly and they're toxic. These are ceramic, so they're not toxic to the environment. Along with they'll never clump up. Centrifugal force, they're gonna fly around in that tire as you're going and balance it both dynamically, which is side to side, and statically, up and down. So you're gonna get a nice smooth ride. You're also gonna reduce suspension wear. As that tire is bouncing up and down, you're banging on the suspension, wearing out those components. Increase gas mileage. Really? Yeah, rolling resistance. That tire's going down the road. You want it to roll smooth so you get good gas mileage. Also, there's nothing to this. You just go to 4tirebeads.com and you can get these and put them in any one of your tires. Like I said, truck, semi, motorcycle, or just your passenger car. It's going to roll smooth.
Hey, I'm going to be honest, I don't think this is too bad for a first timer, right?
Good job.
Yeah, it came out great. The tool's super, super great to use, and finishing up my first ever ClampTite clamping job here. Where can people go to learn more about ClampTite?
Visit us at the web at ClampTiteTools.com.
Tell you what, that is a fine looking clamp. We're going to be back with more Motorhead Garage after this.
This edition of Motorhead Garage, presented by Dustless Blasting, is being brought to you by U.S. Specialty Vehicles. You know you want one. Bad Boy Blasters, quality abrasive sandblasting cabinets. Borla, the world's most winning exhaust. And by Dustless Blasting, it's the future of surface preparation.
Welcome back to Motorhead Garage, presented by Dustless Blasting. You know, back at home in Boston, we like to say work smarter, not harder. And there's a product now on the market that helps anybody who likes to work on cars do that. This is the Magic Creeper, and Brittany from Magic Creeper is here today. You got to tell me how this thing works, because, you know, it looks like a sleeping bag, but I know it isn't.
That's right, Brian. This is actually a wheelless mechanics creeper, and it actually just slides on itself.
Pretty amazing piece, and you know, I think one of the cool things about this, very low profile, you can get under just about any type of car or anything you want to do with it. I think you should demonstrate how this works. Yeah, it's 0 ground clearance. When you get it out of the bag, it's folded up, so what you want to do is you just want to roll it up so that it's ready to go the next time you're ready to use it. You just unclench the handles, and what you want to do is you want to roll it out as close to the vehicle as possible to get the most travel, which is about 4.5 to 5 feet. Then you're going to sit close to the vehicle, scoot yourself out, and it just rolls right under. You know, Brittany, you said you have 4 to 5 feet of travel kind of front to back. What about side movement?
Yeah, Brian, you've got about 4.5 to 5 feet of travel front to back and about 2 to 3 feet from side to side. So you just kind of slide yourself, and then you always want to come back to center before you come back forward.
You know, to me, it seems like this is a great thing for if you have an RV, if you're a racer, and even if you're someone who's just, you know, going to be out on the road a lot, you can roll this baby up, put it in your trunk, and pretty much any situation that presents itself, whether you need to slide a tire into the car, whether you need to get yourself set up on the side of the road to make a repair, or even if you're at the racetrack and you got to fix your race car, this thing seems ready to go.
Yeah, absolutely. It only weighs 3 pounds once it's rolled up. It rolls up easily, nice and tight. You can store it in the back of your car, truck, keep one in the RV, like you said, keep one at home. It works well too, just when it's all rolled up, to just throw on the ground and use as a knee pad.
Well, Brittany, we know you're the expert here in the Magic Creeper, but we have our own resident old guy outside, and that's John Gardner, and he's always begging for an excuse to lay down on the job. John, show us how it's done on the Magic Creeper.
Old, Brian? Really? Old or young, you're still gonna have to get into your vehicle. And I'm gonna give this thing a test drive. So all we need to do is really just toss it up under there. You can make it go further or less, either way. I think up closer is easier, then we can sit on it and just kind of come back, is what she said. Oh man, that's about as easy as can be. And this truck here is really, really low. Get right up under here, give it a whole vehicle inspection. Oh, the exhaust is starting to rust a little bit. Drivetrain looks great. Everything's in good shape. Two things. I know I wouldn't get under here with a creeper because of the grass and the height as well. So that's pretty sharp. When I come out here, a couple other uses. We can go ahead and use it to drop the tire when we're under there. Drop your spare tire on, just pull it out. You don't have to fight with that. And with the manufacturers making these tires bigger and bigger, 19, 20-inch tires, and the heavier they are, this is a perfect opportunity to drop it down on here, use it to manipulate the tire in any direction, get your lug pattern all set up, put it on there. I could find plenty of uses for this. Now the material, it's not gonna rip or tear, it's really good. Got the traction on one side, slick on the other, and I really like it here. Take it in the back of the truck, take whatever you have, throw it on there and just shove it in the back of the truck. Close the tailgate. Want to get it out later? Just wheel it right out the back. Now for me, man, I got salt bags in my water treatment system, all kinds of stuff in the back of the truck. This one's going home with me for sure. And I'm not going to wait to get this as a present. I'm going to go ahead and wind this one up. This is a must-have. I'm going to keep this one in the cab of my car, Brian.
I'll tell you what, Brittany, John figured that thing out pretty quickly. You know, we saw him using it on grass out there. Are there any surface limitations to where you can use the Magic Creeper?
No, there's really no surface limitation at all. It works on grass, gravel, dirt, nearly any surface.
That's fantastic. What about the material it's made out of? What happens if I spill some oil or other material on it?
This is a polyurethane outer coating, so it's oil and water resistant. Just a simple degreaser will take oil right off.
It's fantastic and really is amazing product. So light and compact, it'll fit anywhere. Great to keep one at home, great to keep one in your race car, your RV, your pickup truck, or your car driving down the highway. Brittany, thanks for coming in today, and we'll make sure John gets you his example back, because I have a feeling he's going to try to run with that thing.
Thank you.
Well, that's it for this week's Motorhead Garage presented by Dustless Blasting. Come back and see us next week. It's going to be a great show.